So Manchester City have just beaten Real Madrid 2-1 at the Santiago Bernabeu, and don't get me wrong, I will take a victory in any form possible at that stadium. However, that was not a vintage performance from Manchester City this evening. And if we're being completely honest, if you actually look at that just from a football perspective, take the result aside, there were some concerning things in that performance that we should still be looking at going forward into the rest of the season, because I was really, really concerned with the first 30 minutes of that football match, if I'm being completely honest. Real Madrid at the moment are in their own kind of little mini crisis at the moment. I don't want to call it a full crisis because they've lost 2 out of the last 7 games, but they're not in a good run of form at the moment. They've got 1 win in their last 5 games in La Liga. Coming into this game, Manchester City, I thought, were the A side in the game, if I'm being completely honest. Real Madrid are without a whole host of players in their defensive backline, without Mbappe as well, who didn't even come off the bench today. So the game was there for Manchester City to dominate and win, and we did win away at the Santiago Bernabeu. However, the manner in which we did it, I thought we made it so much more difficult for ourselves than it needed to be. And if you look at the way we've approached that first 30 minutes of the game, really, really concerning stuff. Because in my opinion, that Real Madrid side doesn't have the balance at the moment. They were there for the taking, and Manchester City didn't turn up. They were like, it just straight up did not turn up. Played the ball out, were holding a lot of possession. 74% possession was one of the statistics that came out at one point in the first 30 minutes of the game. But I think we only had like 1 shot or something like that. And it kept being Manchester City playing the ball and then losing it at some place of the pitch. Real Madrid would have a quick, sharp counter-attack. They would have a half chance or a chance. And that was how the game went for the first 30 minutes of the game. Real Madrid, I think, had like 5 shots at that point. When they did score, they went 1-0 up through Rodrigo. Poor for Manchester City. The amount of space in the midfield left there for Jude Bellingham to wander into, picks up the ball from his teammate, slides in Rodrigo. It's a really good finish, to be fair, to Rodrigo. He did not take it like a player that was about to be one of the players in Real Madrid's history with the most amount of time between their last couple of goals as a forward. So a really good finish from Rodrigo, and Real Madrid were 1-0 up in the game. And at that point, I was really fearing for the worst, if I was being completely honest. But we managed to get ourselves back in it. Nico O'Reilly from a corner taps in a spill from Thibaut Courtois, who spills it from the header of Josko Gvardiol. Nico O'Reilly picks up his first Champions League goal of his career at the Santiago Bernabeu. What a moment for Nico O'Reilly, and an absolutely deserved goal as well for him tonight. I thought he's one of the standout players for Manchester City. I thought his performance was one of the standout ones that impressed me. Which a few of them didn't, if I'm being completely honest. But I thought Nico O'Reilly absolutely deserved his goal today. Really, really solid performance from him. He's the one that levels us up in the game. And then a few minutes later, a moment of madness from Rudiger gets very close to Erling Haaland. Brings him down inside the area. It's just reckless from him. There's no need for him to do it. He gets the wrong side of Haaland. He panics and he brings him down because of Erling Haaland's speed and sharpness. And then it's a penalty to Erling Haaland. He dispatches it the other side of Thibaut Courtois to put us 2-1 up at the halftime break. And I'm not going to lie, we went into that halftime break 2-1 up. I was shocked that we were going in leading that game, because I didn't think we deserved it. I really did not think that we deserved to be going into that halftime break, winning the game. We managed to get through in the second half. I thought the second half was a bit of an odd one, if I'm being completely honest, because I thought it was a bit even of a game. We had a couple of chances through Ray and Shirky, Erling Haaland. I think in the early stages of the half, we looked, a much better team. And then towards the last 20-25 minutes of the game, we just sat in our shell. Well, we did shat ourselves, but we sat in our shell and just allowed Real Madrid to dictate, create chances. And I really did think that the game was there to kill off. And we didn't manage to kill it off, although we did manage to survive. Real Madrid looked like they were lacking any sort of structure in the game. I thought that they were really quite poor today. It looked like they were lacking a lot of energy. And I can't believe that we almost we almost drew that game in terms of we gave up a couple of chances in the last 20-25 minutes. Vinicius Jr. had a couple of chances. He probably should have buried one of them, the header inside the box. He got a free header, probably should have scored. Endrick had a good chance as well. So on another day, Real Madrid definitely could have leveled that game up. And I don't think it was a game that we should have allowed to be in that position. And I think we've got a bit of an issue in that midfield at the moment. The way we set up in the game was pressing from the front with the three of Bernardo Silva, Foden, and Erling Haaland. But what I didn't understand is behind that we had a three of Doku, Nico Gonzalez, and Shirky. But it leaves one man in the midfield. So whenever the turnovers happened, Bernardo Silva was still up the pitch. And we had one man in midfield in Nico Gonzalez to deal with the entire transition of Real Madrid. It was a tactic that made no sense to me whatsoever. And I feel sorry for Nico Gonzalez at some points because I thought Nico Gonzalez had a good performance today. But when you're the only man in the midfield, and this is a constant issue for Manchester City this season that I really do think Pep Guardiola needs to address in some format. You can't have a one-man midfield. Nico Gonzalez needs help in there. And unfortunately today, he, from the tactical way we set up in the game, was left alone in that midfield, which causes a lot of problems in that first half specifically. And I think that that's only I personally think that's going to be an issue that we're going to have to wait for Rodri to be back for. I don't think Bernardo Silva is 100% cut out to play that position at the moment. I mean, the physicality, and also he does seem to be operating in areas much more further forward, which I don't like. I want him alongside Nico Gonzalez in there, if I'm being completely honest. But that was a worrying thing about the way we set up today. Also, I thought that the way that we defensively structure with Mateus Nunes going forward, Nico O'Reilly bombing forward as well, we just leave ourselves so exposed. In the first 15 minutes of the game, the amount of opportunities that Real Madrid had just from us giving the ball away carelessly in vulnerable areas of the pitch and leaving us in a 3v3 transition. It's so dangerous against teams like Real Madrid, and it's something that we really do need to sort out because we will get punished for it. We've seen it already been punished this season. We didn't get punished tonight for it in the way that we could have. And we got lucky in that sense. I'm not sitting here saying it was overall a terrible performance. There's definitely things that we can draw away from it. I thought Jeremy Doku was outstanding in that second half, the way that he was continuously dragging us forward. I thought Shirky had a couple of good moments as well. Shirky is a very talented player. He'll make things out of nothing. There was that ball that he almost slipped in for Erling Haaland. I thought Erling Haaland was a little bit anonymous tonight, if I'm being completely honest. Once again, that's a little bit of a theme in the last couple of games. Erling Haaland looks a little bit short of energy. I think that's probably why Pep Guardiola substituted him at the time he did, because Erling Haaland's been looking like he's been lacking a little bit of energy in the last few games. Phil Foden was a bit anonymous tonight. I thought he struggled to really get into the game. I think he was taken off at the right time. I must admit, the substitutions in that second half were a bit bizarre for me. I thought we should have taken off Bernardo Silva. I don't think the players we brought on were the bad idea. Savinho, Tijani Reinders, and it was Marmoush. I thought that they were the right players to bring on, but I didn't think that we took the right players off. I would have taken off Foden, I would have taken off Haaland, and I would have taken off Bernardo Silva. I would have left Shirky on the pitch. Pep Guardiola decided to take off Shirky and leave Bernardo on the pitch. I don't think it was the right decision. I thought Bernardo Silva, he needs a rest, if we're being completely honest. He's not physically the same player he used to be. And Ryan Shirky, he looks relatively fresh still. So I think that was probably the wrong decision from him. Although I do agree with the players that he brought on. Thought Savinho had a really good game coming off the bench. He's been getting a lot of stick recently from Manchester City fans. I thought he showed us something in that Real Madrid game. He was beating his man. He was bringing the ball forward. He looked electric at times. Yes, of course, the final ball, all of that type of stuff is still not there with him. It can be frustrating at times. But I thought that he offered something today. And I thought that he showed what he is capable of in terms of beating a man, in terms of adding that electrifying pace down the right. And that's exactly what we saw from him last season. I want to see more of that from Savinho, because I do think he is a really good asset for us in terms of being a direct player on the counter-attack with extreme pace and a really good ability to beat a man. And I don't want to see his confidence shot by Manchester City fans having a go at him. So I do think Savinho had a good performance coming off the bench. Mateus Nunes, I mean, he was a bit dodgy at times, but he hung in there across the game. I mean, he almost gave away a penalty in the first half, although it was just on the edge of the box. He can be a little bit clumsy at times, Mateus Nunes, both in and out of possession, but I've got to say, he stood in, he did a job today. I would have probably preferred Kustanov there, but, that's just me. And then I thought Diaz and Gavardio played pretty well overall in that back line. As I said, Nico O'Reilly had a really good performance. And yeah, overall, that was kind of my thoughts on the game. Two teams that really set the standard for European football over the last couple of years. And we saw a game that lacked a lot of quality tonight. And I thought Manchester City and Real Madrid's vulnerabilities were on full display tonight. I don't think either team are anywhere near their best at the moment. And yes, it's 3 points away at the Santiago Bernabeu. It's a win against Real Madrid. That is massive on paper. But I think you got to scratch beneath the surface a little bit. Look at the performance. There are still quite a few worrying things in there for me. And I'm hoping that those things can get solved when Rodri comes back from injury, when he comes back from injury, whenever that will be. But yeah, I think Nico Gonzalez, more than anything, he needs help in that midfield. Because the midfield structure and the balance we have in there at the moment, it's not right. It's just not right. And I don't think we will win a Premier League title this season if we continue playing in that manner. I think we will get found out across the season. But hopefully Rodri can come back in. Hopefully we can have that double pivot. Nico Gonzalez, Rodri in there. That would be sublime. And I do think it would solve a lot of the issues we've got in there at the moment. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the Real Madrid-Manchester City game in the comments below. Are you thinking the same lines as me? Or are you just happy that Manchester City have gotten a victory over Real Madrid? Let me know in the comments. But for me, few things that I saw from that game that I'm still not happy with, if I'm being completely honest.